نتكلم مع أبوك وأمك لوحدينا.
تعالى تعالى.
في ايه يا قسيس؟
عندي كلمة عشانك، كلمة من ربنا.
قول لنا من فضلك، قول لنا.
انتوا مش لازم تتخلصوا من الحمل ده. أميرهم نوسة، اسمعوني كويس من فضلكم.
يا قسيس، انت عارف احنا بنعمل كده ليه؟ عشان صحتي.
كل شيء مترتب وجاهز.
مش ممكن تطلب مني اني اوقف العملية دي.
أنا ما كنتش هطلب منكم كده.
احنا نحب ندعي ربنا، بدل الموضوع ده غريب جدا.
هيتولد عشان يخدم ربنا.
إن كان ربنا قال كده فإحنا لازم نطيع.
God did the thing and did the impossible.
If God is in this, then we must obey.
My dad's story is one of obedience and unwavering devotion.
I believe that the call of God on my life to serve Him came while I was still in my mother's womb. 16 years later, on March 4th, 1964, I committed my life to Christ. That night, my life was changed forever.
He started thinking of the very old statement of his mother that he should serve God in future.
Fear was all over the country. No one knew what was going to happen next. We heard rumors of a military buildup from Israel and its allies. Others whispered that all of the Arab countries were going to rally together and crush Israel. War and restrictions were on everyone's mind. President Nasser decreed that no university student could travel abroad, and I was trapped.
But God was in control, and he got the exit visa.
When I landed in Beirut, Lebanon, knowing of course that I might never return home to Egypt, the blues hit hard. I knew very few people in that city, and none of them very well.
You have to imagine, Dad was 21 years old and a long way from home. He arrived in Beirut with $20 in his pocket, which ran out the first week. He spent about 6 months in Lebanon, then immigrated to Australia.
I was truly a stranger in a strange land, with no contacts, no assurance of work or a place to live. I went because that was the door that God opened for me. I landed on that island continent with nothing but my personal belongings, few as they were, and a borrowed $100 in my pocket.
I think he had been in the country maybe about 2 weeks. He had actually moved into the same suburb that I grew up in, and he turned up one Sunday at the church that I had been to all my life. First I thought maybe he was Indian or South American, but at any rate he was introduced to me after the service, and we started dating shortly after, so that's how we met.
I fell in love with Elizabeth on that very first day, but of course I didn't say anything to her about how I felt. I did ask her for a date, and she accepted.
Dad and Mom married in 1971. He later enrolled in Moore Theological Seminary and was ordained as a minister at the end of his 3rd year.
In February of 1977, Elizabeth and I arrived in the U.S. By then we had 2 small children, Sarah and Natasha.
My father went on to get his master's at Fuller Theological Seminary and later a doctorate from Emory. He served for nearly 10 years with the Haggai Institute. God had taken a young man born into a brutal dictatorship and given him a life of freedom, not only as a U.S. citizen, but also as a follower of Christ. The time had now come to launch what would soon become a global ministry.
By the time God called me to start the Church of the Apostles, my little family had more than doubled in size. We were blessed with 2 sons and 2 daughters.
That first service, it was like the beginning of an adventure.
The church services began, and it was shortly after that that I think Dad began doing short-form radio spots, like 60 to 90-second radio spots on local Atlanta radio. So what began locally is now broadcast on radio, television, and the internet in 20 languages, 2,300 times a week, in over 200 countries around the world.
So we are using every single technology possible to reach out to people, because this is the great commission we have.
Prayer plays a vital role in what Leading the Way is doing and has been doing.
We have an opportunity to touch not thousands, not hundreds of thousands, but tens of millions of lives.
To whom much is given, much is required.
To lead the way for people living in spiritual darkness at home and around the world, to discover the light of Christ as we passionately communicate the truth. If God is in this, then we must obey.